Hello, my name is Keith Rucker. I'm going to give you guys a quick update on the progress of the Vance Planer matcher restoration. I spent some more time this weekend working on just kind of getting the feed rollers all back on the machine again, and even though it doesn't look like much, and even though I got a lot of that done last week, I spent most of the day Saturday this week just fiddling with those, fine-tuning everything. Had to get on the outfeed side over there, had to get the sprockets and gears all put into the mechanism here that raises and lowers them. But anyway, just show you what we got done this weekend. The feed rollers are pretty much all complete now, and maybe just kind of go over the machine as a whole and let you guys know what we've done to it so far. So we're on the outfeed roller side of the machine now, and of course we showed these all going in last week. Again, we had to get the top assembly put together. I pretty much had all the components made. I'd already made the elevation screws, which these are 3/4 inch, 8 thread per inch left-hand threads on here. And I've actually got a video that I had made previously on how I threaded these. And yes, that is a very oddball size thread. I was very fortunate that I was able to find a 3/4 8 left-hand tap on eBay of all places, because you can't find them in any of the machine tooling catalogs that are out there to clean these up. And I got the tap to clean these up, and also for another part yet to be made. But these were turned on the metal lathe. The reason they're 8 threads per inch has to do with this is a piece of woodworking machinery, and so at 8 threads per inch, one revolution of this wheel up here will raise or lower the outfeed tables 1/8 of an inch. That's a nominal size, a fractional size that's used very much in the lumber industry. So by having 8 threads per inch in here, even though it's a non-standard thread, it makes it very easy to adjust this machine, because you always know when you turn this, you know, a full turn will be 1/8 of an inch, a half a turn will be 1/16 of an inch, and a 1/4 of a turn will be 1/32 of an inch. So it makes adjustments on this machine very easy. Of course, the way this works is when you turn this, it will raise and lower the feed assembly. It's a little bit stiffer than I want. I may take the top back apart up here and see if I can smooth some stuff out in there. I think I got something in there that's just not quite right. The other one adjusts a little bit easier. But as this moves up, you can see the reason for the expansion gears. This gear here is going to raise and lower. The bottom and lower feed rollers turn in sync with one another, and at the same speed as the feed rollers on the other side, on the infeed side. So as it raises and lowers, to keep these gears all lined up, that's why we have this whole expansion gear system in here that allows these gears to expand in and out while keeping everything synced up at the right speeds. So again, we're on the back seat feed side, or the outfeed side, so the board's going to come through here, and it's actually will go across the bottom planer head, which will be mounted right here, still be put back on the machine. I've got the cutter head ready to go. We just need to get the Babbitt bearings poured in the for it to roll on, and we can have that going set up pretty easily. But anyway, you can kind of see how the feed rollers work on this machine. So here's the infeed side. We've had these finished up for a while now. They pretty much are just like the other side. The only difference is that the top roller on the infeed side is corrugated. In other words, it has grooves milled into it, and that just helps to grip that rough cut lumber going in that may not be a perfectly flat surface. So the corrugated top there will help that. So you start out with a rough board. It goes through these feed rollers. So once it goes through the first set of feed rollers, the first thing it'll do is it'll pass underneath this cutter head, which will be spinning, and of course that will plane the top of the board. It then continues on, and it goes over to these side heads, which are in here. These are of course turning, and the side heads will be used. They have knives in there that will cut the sides of the board, so it can either be a straight side if you're cutting just regular lumber, or if you're doing tongue and groove, you may have some molding knives in there to actually cut that tongue and groove feature on the edge of the board, depending on how you have it set up. And of course, these side heads, this is what the curve face pulleys that we just got back from Keith Fenner will go down below this, down up underneath the bottom. And that too will be coming up soon, finishing up getting those on there, and then the side heads will be completely done. These were pretty much all completed except for the pulleys probably about a year ago. So this is one of the first things we did when we started working on the machine, was getting the side heads done. On the top cutter head here, we of course took this completely out of the machine. This was done back before I was really started shooting the YouTube videos on this project, unfortunately. But we took the cutter head completely out. We cleaned it up. I returned the journals on both ends. Just took off a little bit of metal, got those cleaned up and polished, and then we re-poured the Babbitt bearings that are on this. And this head is pretty much all ready to go. I've taken the time to get these scraped in and running very good, so I'm very happy with the top planer head on this. Additionally, similar to the height adjustment screws we have up here on the feed rollers, you can also adjust this top head on this machine based on the thickness of the board that's coming through, and that's done by turning this handle here, which turns a threaded rod that goes up through here. This is also threaded at 8 threads per inch. I believe that's 3/4 as well. But I turned that and basically had to rebuild all that. The bevel gears down here on the bottom that these engage into were just completely beyond use and repair. So I replaced those with some almost identical. They're not exactly the same, but very, very close to being identical modern, just off-the-shelf bevel gears that we were able to find for it. Another adjustment that we completely reworked on this is doing with the side heads again. This shaft here goes in and goes across, and you can see by turning that, I have this loose right now where you can do it, but that adjusts that side head in and out. The one on the far side over here is on the opposite side, is stationary. It does not move, but you can adjust this to adjust for the thickness of the board or the width of the board that's going through there. As with everything else on this, it was so rusted and just so far gone that we had to completely remake this shaft. And the shaft that's in there is interesting. It's actually square threads. Instead of coming in at a point like a 60-degree point like a regular thread, or even a real coarse or real like an Acme thread, which is most people would think on something like this, it used square threads, which means that the sides of the threads were exactly 90 degrees. Which was very difficult to cut. I had to grind a special cutter to do that with, that gave me the proper relief, and yet was heavy enough to be able to handle that cut. And we machined that out on the lodge and Shipley lathe in there. It took quite a while because it's a fairly long rod. We were probably threading over 2 feet of threads on it, or close to 2 feet, if not 24 inches. I'm guessing about 24 inches, but because of the length of that rod and the amount of pressure that was on there, and not having a follow rest on my lathe, I had to take pretty light cuts and just really take my time. But it came out real good. I was very pleased with it. You don't see square threads used much anymore. Pretty much everybody uses Acme threads now. But again, back when this machine was made, that was pretty common. And square threads, they say, were used a lot of times for the feed screw on lathes because it's just more accurate than an Acme thread. Why this machine needed square threads, Acme threads would have been more than sufficient. But again, at the time that this was made, the Acme threads and square threads, who knows why they chose to go with that. So this is the other side of the machine. Unfortunately, the way the sun is right now, it's really hard to see this on the camera. But you can see the gears that all feed the feed work. So when this gear here turns, that's going to turn the infeed and outfeed rollers. I still got to get one more big gear on the outfeed side to have that completely all working again. And this gear right down here is the one that we replaced the broken tooth in. and there's another gear that will come up underneath the bottom engaged in this, and on the opposite side of the machine will be a tight loose pulley that will drive the feed mechanism. And that turns real well. I can't wait to get the other gear on there and see how well everything turns. So that's just a real quick overview of what all we've got done on the machine so far. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but everything on here has had to be totally rebuilt. The amount of work that's been required in this really surprised my initial estimations. I really thought this machine was going to be a lot easier, but as I think I've shared in a bunch of my videos, the machine just sat outside in the weather, and it saw a pretty hard life before it was put out to pasture. And as we started breaking into this, we just found problem after problem that had to be resolved and basically rebuilt. A lot of the parts on here, pretty much anything that was made out of steel on this machine was rusted and pitted to the point to where it's pretty much was useless, down to even the bolts and the fasteners on here. Really hardly any of them were usable. A lot of the bolts literally broke off when we took it apart, just because half the metal going up into the head would be completely rusted away. So there's been a lot of work just even getting all those out. And a lot of these square head bolts, I've even gone to the trouble of making new ones rather than using an off-the-shelf square head bolt, because the head design is different than what you can get on a modern-made square head bolt. And because this is a restoration that we're doing for the museum, I'm trying to take very close attention to details and try to get it back as close to original as possible. So it's been a lot of work. It's been an awful lot of work. What's left to do, the next thing after we get the gear on here, and I'm probably going to go ahead and put the drive gear for the feed works on there and get that bottom shaft done. And so I'll have the feed works just 100% totally done. They're 95, 99% probably done right now, maybe 95% done, except for the gear and that other shaft. Get the pulleys onto the side heads now that we've got those back. That's yet to be done. And then the next thing we'll start rebuilding the bottom head. It's going to be another planer head here on the bottom that turns and will plane the bottom of the board. Like I think I had previously mentioned, I've already got the cutter head. I rebuilt that quite some time ago when I was doing the other cutter head, as far as polishing the journals, cleaning up the head, getting it ready to go back on here. So we'll have to get that mounted back in here, pour the Babbitt bearings for the bottom head, and then there's also a shoe. It doesn't have rollers, but there's a shoe piece that comes down here on the outfeed side that puts downward pressure on that, and that's going to be a pretty major rebuild, because unfortunately a lot of that part of the mechanism on this machine was completely missing when we got it. It had been taken off, it was gone, it was lost. Fortunately, I was able to find a person in North Carolina that had basically the same machine as this, same company. He sent me a lot of pictures, he sent me some measurements, some drawings. I made some patterns, similar like I did with the cast iron pulleys. I had those parts cast, the missing parts cast. I have those parts back, and we've just got to get everything machined and completely rebuilt. So this next piece here is going to also be a pretty in-depth rebuild. But once that is done, other than just a few little other minor things like getting the table on the Infeed side, the boards come in on there. This outfeed or this bottom cutter head is really the next obstacle that we run into, and it's going to be a pretty big challenge to get it done. There's going to be some really cool machine work involved. You're going to get to see me using the horizontal mill with some shell millers and on shell cutters on there, machining that shoe part. You'll just have to hang on and watch that as we get to it. And then once that's done, the machine part is basically all finished. Then we'll have to make the counter shaft with all the flat belt pulleys that drive it, which in itself, that's going to be somewhat of a challenge, but not nearly the challenge that this outfeed bearing and cutter head and pressure plate is going to be. So that's where we are on the matcher. I'm going to call it. Probably about 70% done now. I've been working on this machine for about a year and 3 months, or about a year and 4 months right now. So my goal, my goal is to have it finished before next fall, and I think I can do that. But it's just going to, it's like anything else. You just got to get out here and work on it. Like the old saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're just taking one bite at a time and slowly making progress on this machine. So that's where we're at. Sorry, no machining videos from this weekend out here. Again, most of my time was just piddling, doing little miscellaneous oddball things, getting everything on here. In fact, I may have used the lathe just briefly on something, but again, it was something that I had already shown you guys, so I didn't bother filming it. But we're going to be back in the machine shop here pretty soon as we start working on this bottom cutter head and getting that those next pieces machined out and ready to go back on the machine. So again, thank you for all you guys who are watching this. You know, I'm up to about I think this morning a little over 3,500 subscribers now, which again just blows my mind that I have so many people who are watching this. And you know, we're getting new subscribers every day, and that count of people around the world who are watching what I'm doing out here, it just blows my mind. I think I've said before, you know, when I started this, I was kind of just sharing this with some folks on a discussion forum that I participate in, and other people have found out about it. And the whole YouTube channel has just really grown well beyond anything I ever thought it would be. And I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for your comments. I try to respond to all the comments, but I'm starting to get so many now, it's really difficult for me to respond to each and every one of them. But I do try to, if you have a question about something or something that requires I read every one of them, guys. And again, I try to respond to all of them, but if you're just saying, hey, great job, good work, you know, I may not respond to you individually, but rest assured I am reading everything you guys write. And, you know, 99% of it is great. And of course we have that 1% out there that want to throw stones at me and tell me everything I'm doing wrong and what have you. And that's fine. That doesn't bother me. You know, if you do have a suggestion, I welcome your comments and suggestions. If you got an idea how we might do something different or better, share it, but do it in a constructive manner, guys. You know, I learn from you guys. I've said that a million times. I learn from you guys all the time from your comments, and I appreciate those. So don't be afraid to make a suggestion to me on how I might do something different, because I'll learn from that. But just do it in a constructive manner if you don't mind. I think everybody appreciates that better. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and hopefully we'll be able to get back out to the museum next weekend and make some more progress on this machine restoration. Again, thank you for watching.